What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Raybon of the Action Network, and this is our rookie wide receiver preview pod for 2023. We're going to draft 10 rookies each, and by we, I mean me and one of the top fantasy rankers in the game, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. Sean, what's going on?
What's up? I had a blast with our running back draft. I need to prevent you from sniping me so much. So my draft strategy is ready to go here.
All right, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. And for anyone that didn't listen to the running back pod, be sure to check that out. But essentially, we are going to draft for this pod. We're going to do 10 wide receivers each, and it's going to be we're going to use Best Ball 10 ADP over the last 2 weeks, and the winner will be whoever's team exceeds their expected half PPR point value by the most. So it's not straight up raw points. ADP is taken into account here. So it's essentially a value draft. I had the first pick in the running back draft. So Sean, that means you have the first pick in this one. Where are you going?
I'm going with Marvin Mims at
wide
receiver 90. Yeah, wide receiver 90. His stock is going way up with Tim Patrick, unfortunately, suffering another season-ending injury before the year even begins with an Achilles injury. So, and it also looks like KJ Hamler isn't quite ready yet. So,
he's gone. He's off the team.
He's off the team?
Yeah, he got released.
No, he might come back though. But he was dealing with something that could knock him out a while. But he seems okay. I think he will return.
But they said he's cut though. Is he? You think he's going to resign?
Yeah, that I saw the report. He's cut, but the plan is to bring him back.
Gotcha.
But I really think that Marvin Mims is sort of like who they expected they were getting with KJ Hamler. He's going to be potentially their number 3 wide receiver to start the season. Something that they didn't really have last year. After Tim Patrick got hurt, I mean, they didn't really have anybody step up. So I think he could fill that role. The offense should be much better under Sean Payton. And Marvin Mims is a guy where he's mainly a downfield threat, so he won't need a ton of targets to offer value, especially at wide receiver 90. But, I just love his upside here, and his ADP is only going to go up after the unfortunate Patrick news the other day.
Yeah, I love Mims. That would have been my first pick as well. Just sticks out like a sore thumb at wide receiver 90.
Yeah.
I'm already projecting him for, I think, about 65% of the routes over the course of the season. Maybe he starts out a little slower, but I expect him to actually become a full-time player at some point during this season. I guess Marquez Callaway is probably in line to be his main competition at this point, unless Hamler makes a pretty crazy recovery.
Sean Payton guys and Marquez Callaway and Lil John Humphrey.
Yep.
Lil John Humphrey would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, Marvin Mims is a second round talent. So I think he should beat them out. Again, if he gets off to a slow start, that's fine. Just wide receiver 90 is a stale number, and I'll have to take advantage of that. And like I said, I'm ready for your shenanigans here. I'm not letting you snipe me again.
All right. Well, now I know some guys that you're going to be targeting, but I do have to go with. But before I get there, so you might get another guy that you want, because I have to go with what I think is another great value pick. Not quite as great as Mims, but I'm going to go Rashee Rice at wide receiver 66. I think there is a real chance that he could be the number 2 or even number 1 wide receiver on this team, depending on what happens with Sky Moore. I don't think Kadarius Toney's ever going to be able to play a full complement of snaps. I think Toney's going to have to end up more like the way they used him last year. They're going to have to kind of preserve him, almost treat him more like Mecole Hardman, when he was in his first few years there, where, use him on a bunch of gadget stuff, but never really make him into a full-time player. And, MVS is a very low percentage, low target per route run player. Travis Kelce's 34. So there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, Patrick Mahomes led the league in passing yards per game last year. So I really like, a second round pick in Rice, who put up, 5 120 plus yards, 6 120 plus yard games last year at SMU, was targeted on 35.5% of his routes. That was top 3 in the entire nation among players with at least 200 routes run. So I really like Rice, and from all accounts, I don't really take anything positive, and change anything in terms of what I hear in camp, but it is good to hear positive news from him in camp, as opposed to something like a Treylon Burks last year or something like that. So everything right now, it seems like it's in a good spot for Rice to be a real factor in this KC offense in week 1. And at wide receiver 66, there's not much downside there with a player like this compared to the upside. So give me Rice at wide receiver 66.
Yeah, I love it. He's in a wide open wide receiver room and the best offense in football. So might as well take a swing here. And he's a volume hog in college because he's so friggin' good. I mean, he can win contested catches downfield or rack up, yards after the catch on short immediate routes. So he kind of reminds me of Chris Godwin. I think he's that type of player. So he's a good fit for the Chiefs. He could do it all. So, they have all these receivers doing all these different things. He could do it all. So I think he has a clear path to, being in the starting rotation, and that comes with massive upside. So yeah, I love this pick here.
He's got crazy versatility too. I just realized that he played in the slot 93% of the time in 2021. And then last year he played out wide 83% of the time. So
that's what I'm saying. He could do it all.
Yeah, that's
they need that. They need that.
They do. All right, where are you going with your second pick?
Oh man, there's a handful of guys I can go here. I'm just gonna have to go with my boy though, Jordan Addison.
I knew it.
Yeah, I have to. I'm going off my plan now. Oh well. He's just my favorite rookie wide receiver, just based on the talent, obviously, but also the situation. It's crazy. A lot of these first round, receivers are going to be like the number 2, number 3 target in their offense, which is kind of unusual, but it is what it is. And he's in a situation where I think he's going to be the number 2 receiver in a pretty good offense, playing across from Justin Jefferson. So he's another guy that can do it all. He can line up inside, outside. So I think, there's a clear path to wide receiver 3, potentially wide receiver 2 value. I don't know if he has that upside as a rookie, but either way, I think at wide receiver 41, I can't see him not hitting ADP here. So I love him as a talent. I also think, he's going to be an ideal number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be like an alpha dominant Julio Jones type of guy. Like I think he's the perfect, Robin to a Batman. So I think that being paired with Justin Jefferson is a good thing. Like he's going to attract the defensive coverages and give Addison some wide open looks. So I think he's going to thrive as a rookie. So yeah, I got to take him here at wide receiver 41.
Yeah. I think he is going to be, kind of fast tracked for that Thielen role, sooner than later. So yep. You've been talking him up all off season. So on brand, I knew you were going to take him. I was like, that's why I was like, I'm going to let you get him probably. Cause it was between him and a couple other guys there, but yeah, I'm going to go for my second pick in the 4th overall. I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston. I just love the talent, and you talk about a Robin for Addison. Johnston might be like the Batgirl or something. He's probably like 3rd or 4th in line for targets. But the more I dig into this Charger offense, I think they're going to go at the fastest pace in the league. Kellen Moore had Dallas top 2 each of the past 4 years, I believe it was, and they're talking about letting Herbert go downfield more. So I just think this is going to be this might end up being the best offense in football this year, at least from a number standpoint. I could see Herbert leading the league in pass yards this year. Like they really want to open it up. And that's why even though they look pretty good at wide receiver with Allen, Williams, Palmer, they go out and draft Johnston out of TCU, 21st overall, 6'3", 208. And when you look at, historically over the last decade plus, wide receiver drafted in the first round, their median is about a 75% route run rate per game. And I actually think Johnston can approach that. No, like number one, Allen's a year older. Mike Williams may be best for him not to play like at 95% of the snaps.
Yeah.
I think he could jump Palmer off the bat. But I think they're going to go a lot of 4 wide. I think this offense is going to look a lot more different than people remember it last year, where Herbert kind of had the down year, and the yards per attempt wasn't there, and he wasn't going downfield, and guys were hurt. So I just want to buy into this offense. If you remember a couple of years ago, Dallas had 3 top 45 receivers, and that was with Gallup and Cedric Wilson splitting time. So like if it could have even been crazier if one or the other had kind of played in the third role all year. So I think there's going to be a lot of production to go around. So love Johnston here at wide receiver 46, and a couple spots lower than Addison. So I feel like I'm playing with house money after your Addison pick.
Yeah, I mean, I had mixed feelings about Johnston's landing spot, just because he'll likely be the number 3 receiver, but it's a potent offense, and he's attached to Justin Herbert, which is good. But it reminds me of the CeeDee Lamb situation. You brought up Dallas. I mean, that's exactly what it reminds me of.
Yep.
Where he's going to be the number 3 receiver, but he has built-in upside even as a rookie, because if Keenan Allen and or Mike Williams misses time, he has wide receiver 2 upside. That's kind of why I've been all over Josh Palmer the past couple seasons, not necessarily because I thought Palmer was like a stud. He was just in a good situation. So now we have an actual potential stud in that situation. And I mean, he does have the highest ceiling of the entire class. He does have Julio Jones like upside. He's not quite there yet, but if he has the talent and skill set, if he figures it out, watch out. Yeah, I think he's going to be a force in this offense for years to come, and potentially even this year.
Yeah, the more I do my projections and stuff, it's just like he's hard not to rank high. Just with the way I have this offense projected. All right, so you got Mims at wide receiver 90 and Addison at 41. I got Rice at 66 and Johnston at 46. You're up with the 5th overall pick.
All right, I'm going Jayden Reed at wide receiver 76. Now, he's a guy where I didn't like the talent as much. I thought, the Packers reached on him in the second round, but I do love the landing spot because, he was more of like a return specialist who I didn't think was polished as a route runner quite yet, but it doesn't matter. They're going to be throwing him in the fire as a rookie. He's probably going to be their opening day slot receiver. So that gives him a pretty solid floor, and he's really good with the ball in his hands. Like I said, he's a return specialist, so he's going to be very good after the catch. So I think he rack up plenty of receptions, plenty of yards to beat this ADP. And if Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs were to miss any time, he could be number 2 in the offense. So I think that he has a very high floor with a decent ceiling as a rookie. So I think he's a no-brainer at wide receiver 76.
Yeah, no, that was actually going to be my next pick. I love him as well. I think just the value, and especially in this Green Bay pass catcher corps where there is some uncertainty there. Like, Watson is probably going to lead it, but Dobbs could get jumped by somebody. There's also Musgrave at tight end, so there's not really a lot of established, this is like one of the youngest receiving corps ever, which just kind of opens it up for somebody to emerge. So always got to kind of target those situations when you're looking for rookies, just that path to be, the number 2 receiver. And I think Reed has that path.
I also think, like, when it comes to projections, I would not be shocked if they give him 1 to 2 designed rush attempts a game too, which also helps, stabilize his floor. But he has, the potential to see even more touches with design handoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like the talent. I'm not as low on the talent as you, I don't think, but
the talent as a route runner, like an NFL route runner, he has some work to do. But again, if he's going to be the starting slot receiver, it doesn't really matter. I'm not being too picky. But yeah, second round was a bit high for him. But again, if they wanted him, to be thrown in the fire right away, I get it. I'm just saying that there were other guys in that range I thought should go higher was all.
All right. For the 6th overall pick, my 3rd, I'm going to go, since this is a value draft, a guy that I think is going to beat his ADP pretty handily, and that's Michael Wilson of the Cardinals. When you look up and down his roster, they have Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore at the top of the depth chart, 2 smaller guys. And then it's Zach Pascal and then Dortch, another slot guy. So I think there's room for a guy like Wilson to potentially start from day one. in this offense. And if not, he'll probably just have to beat out Pascal at some point, which shouldn't be too hard. This late 3rd round pick out of Stanford. Just nothing really jumps out at you in terms of the metrics or the numbers, but just a good football player and a guy that, this Cardinal team, we expect it to be, at least right now, the worst team in football. That could lead to a lot of throwing. Now, the quarterbacks probably won't be great, but this is another situation where, especially if a guy like Rondale Moore gets hurt again, and I don't believe he's even played much more than half a season yet in his career, Michael Wilson has a path to be his team's number 2 receiver as well, especially, Zach Ertz, who knows what's going on with him coming back from that injury. So I'm going to go with Wilson at wide receiver 96. I think he definitely beats it. It's the question just is by how much, and that's going to depend on how early, in the season he kind of assumes that starting one of those starting perimeter roles, which I think he'll do pretty early.
Yeah. I think he's one of those guys where his ADP is only going to climb, I think, through training camp and through the preseason. Kyler Murray's raving about him, and he's a guy that will have better late season value because presumably Kyler Murray will be playing in the second half. So that's good. You're not drafting Michael Wilson necessarily for weeks 1 through 8 anyway. So he has that upside, but I think he has upside to play like the Christian Kirk role when he was on the Cards. Like, he reminds me of Christian Kirk a bit. So there is a path for him to hit as a rookie because, they're going to be an awful team. They're a rebuilding team. They'll want to see what they have in their 3rd round pick. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if the second half for him specifically is, useful in terms of fantasy. And yeah, he's at wide receiver, 96 right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a steal.
All right, where are you going next?
Okay. Which guy are you most likely to? I'm gonna have to just go with my other guy here. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Mingo at wide receiver 71. He's a guy that I love the talent and I love the landing spot because, again, he's in a wide receiver room that's pretty much wide open. The Panthers brought in a bunch of guys, they drafted him, and they have rookie quarterbacks. So there's a reasonable chance that Mingo ends up being, the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. He's sort of like a running back wide receiver hybrid, like a Deebo Samuel or like a Laviska Shenault type. Like, that's his range of outcomes, I think, in the NFL. He's a very good yards after catch kind of guy, which I think is a perfect fit for Bryce Young. Bryce Young didn't really throw downfield a ton. I think that's part of the game that he needs to work on the most. So I think he'll be looking for guys like Mingo when he's on the move, hit him underneath, get him open, and have him rack up yards after the catch. So I think Bryce Young and Mingo specifically could be an ideal fit. So I think in the wide receiver 71 range, he doesn't really need anybody to get hurt to be ADP. So I kind of like Rashee Rice. Like, I love that pick as well. He kind of reminds me of that. So I like getting Mingo outside the top 70. Yeah,
like right now, I think Rice, Mingo, and Mims, those guys, like they're like a tier down in ADP from the top 4, and definitely offering some good value. And Mingo, he has a chance to be the number 1 receiver as soon as this year. I mean, it's not like it's obviously there's other guys and it's not like a big chance, but there's definitely a path. There's definitely a path. Because Steven, he's more of a possession underneath guy at this stage. Chark will see low percentage route runner usually. And then who else is there? Marshall, previous regime drafted him. So who knows if he can kind of replicate what he did last year. All right, with the 8th overall pick of our rookie wide receiver drafts, I am going to go with, let's go. I'm going to go Zay Flowers here at wide receiver 50. He's kind of in a logjam in that Ravens offense, but I love the talent. And I think this Ravens offense may pass a lot more than people think under Todd Monken this year. I think the offense is going to look a lot different. And, Odell Beckham, can we really expect him to stay healthy for all 17 games? I don't know. And, Flowers is talented enough that he could still be their most targeted wide receiver, even if Beckham and Bateman are healthy. That's how good Flowers is. So I think he had like something like a 45% target share last year. This guy definitely can get open and demand the football. So I'm not worried as much about the guys around him, just because I think there's a lot of chance for injuries, and I think he at this stage in his career might be the most talented one already. So I'm not going to sleep on Zay Flowers and just assume Baltimore is going to be that same old run heavy offense. They definitely have kind of shown signs of wanting to open it up. And I think Lamar had the quote saying he wants to throw for some ridiculous amount of yards that he won't throw for. But it's good to hear that they're kind of going away from Greg Roman, run heavy attack that I think at the end of the day, I think Lamar just needs to be throwing more and needs the reps and needs to be, they don't have to be this like run heavy offense as if they're like trying to hide him or something, because they don't. Like he's a good quarterback. So give me some Zay Flowers at wide receiver 50, and he's I guess the bottom one of that tier with Smith-Njigba, Addison, Johnston, and then him. But I kind of like him at the bottom of that tier because again, I think he could very well be the top receiver in Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure. And normally, having the Ravens as a landing spot wasn't ideal just because they were so run heavy. But with Todd Monken running the show now, they should be more pass heavy. So love Zay Flowers. He has the upside to become like a Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks type of guy. So love his upside, and can't bank on Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham to both play all 17 games. So he's going to have some weeks where he goes off. So yeah, I love this pick.
All right. So we're through 8 rounds. Who you got to lead off the 9th, your 5th pick?
So this is a guy, it's going to be tough for him to be ADP because he's so high right now. But this is similar to your Jahmyr Gibbs pick in the other pod. But I'm going to have to go with Jaxson Smith-Njigba here at wide receiver 37 because, he should have been the number 1 wide receiver taken, and he was. But he ended up in a weird situation where I was saying with Quentin Johnston, it's sort of like CeeDee Lamb, where he's already going to be a good receiver, but he's going to have to start off being likely the number 3 receiver in the offense. So that's probably what he'll be in year 1. So I think as a rookie, I would say he's going to be similar to like Robert Woods in his prime on the Rams, in that situation. He's still going to be very valuable. But if, DK Metcalf or, Tyler Lockett were to miss time, he will absolutely offer, wide receiver 2 type value. So that's where I think he can beat ADP. And also he's really good. He could just blow up in year 1. But I think down the road, he's going to be a guy to really, look into, especially in Dynasty, because if he were the number 1 wide receiver on the offense, he could be like an Amon-Ra St. Brown type of guy because, he has a similar skill set, excellent change of direction. He had a really good 3-cone time. You can line him up outside as well. He's very versatile, but as a rookie, he's going to be sort of confined, but just love the upside that he has. So I'll take him at wide receiver 37, even though my projections have him closer to wide receiver 43, still think he has a ton of upside to beat this ADP.
Yeah, I have him like in the low 40s as well, but top wide receiver in the draft. And the Seattle team, they could definitely open it up a little more. I mean, they're built for it now. Three
both running backs are out. They're going to have to.
Yeah, exactly. And we're treating Metchie as a rookie or no?
Oh yeah, might as well. He hasn't played yet.
Him and what about Calvin Austin? He played, right?
No,
he didn't
play. No,
okay, so both of them.
I got Justin Ross as well.
Justin Ross, yeah.
Cat's out of the bag.
No. I'm not gonna snipe your Justin Ross pick. But he is making noise in camp, so
yeah,
could be interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Metchie then at wide receiver 79. This is another situation in Houston where there is a path for Metchie to be the number 1 receiver. Like I think it's gonna be Nico. Robert Woods is more like a 2, like really a 3 at this point. I mean, given what we saw from him last season. So, Metchie, great route runner, kind of going to fly under the radar a little bit, but there's a non-zero chance he leads Houston in targets as a rookie, technically his second year, but he's a rookie, missed last year recovering from the cancer. So let's go with Metchie here.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, he probably should have been a first round pick. But before the unfortunate, leukemia diagnosis, he was coming back from a torn ACL.
Yep.
So he probably would have been lightly used as a rookie anyway. But yeah, this season they should unleash him, and the wide receiver depth chart's wide open. So he very well could end up being CJ Stroud's number one target.
All right, we got we got 5 picks each. You got Marvin Mims, Jordan Addison, Jayden Reed, Jonathan Mingo, and Jaxson Smith-Njigba. I got Rashee Rice, Quentin Johnston, Michael Wilson, Zay Flowers, and John Metchie the third. Where are you going with number 11?
I'm going to go a similar route you took with Metchie, a guy that I guess was technically a rookie last year but didn't play. I think he has a ton of upside, and that's Justin Ross. It looks like his current ADP is 92.
Okay.
So again, he's a bit of a wild card, because there's a chance he doesn't make the team. But the Kansas City wide receiver depth chart is wide open, and he is a player that was probably going to be like a first round draft pick, but just he had potential career ending injury in college, so he's still making his way back from that. But from all I'm seeing and hearing from camp is he looks great. So I'm going to just have to take a flyer on him. Again, like, he has the upside to be a starting wide receiver for the Chiefs. He had the potential to be a first round type of pick. So give me Justin Ross at wide receiver 91.
Yeah, no, he's been buzzing all camp, man, and he was a very talented guy before all the injuries.
Yeah.
So I can't knock it. You're just kind of shooting for upside here. And once after the top, 9 or so wide receivers, it gets a little shaky anyway. So yeah. I don't mind it. All right, with the 12th overall pick, my 6th, I'll go with my Giants and Jalin Hyatt, wide receiver 82. This is they have. What are they just gonna line up with the tackles?
They're up to 105 receivers now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they all play the slot. Right?
Yeah.
When you have a ton of receivers, a talented guy like Hyatt, well, I think realistically, his median is probably gonna be kind of a deep threat, inside outside guy who can do it even from the slot. But there, you're talking about Hodgins and Slayton and Paris Campbell, a lot of guys that probably top out is, wide receiver 3-4 types in the National Football League. Wan'Dale Robinson's hurt, Crowder, Beasley, those guys are kind of washed up. Shepard, he can never stay healthy, and he's older now too. So Hyatt is probably, very well could be the most talented wide receiver on this team already. And there's also a non-zero chance that he's their top wide receiver, just because of, the kind of logjam here with no one really sticking out talent wise. So I'm going to go with Hyatt and just bank on the speed here to get me home.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a wide range of outcomes for sure, but one that could end with him being the top wide receiver in the offense. Unfortunately, the top target will probably be Darren Waller when he's healthy. But yeah, this wide receiver depth chart's wide open, so you got to take a chance on a guy like this.
All right, where you go next?
Ooh, man. I guess sort of a similar situation. Well, not really, because he doesn't have a chance of being the number one receiver. But I'm going to go with Puka Nacua. At where's the
104?
104. Yeah, it's worth a shot because, Cooper Kupp is obviously the top option. I guess you could say Van Jefferson's a lock for the number 2, but it's pretty wide open who's going to be sort of the number 3 receiver in this offense that loves to run a ton of 11 personnel. So I'm going to take a swing on Nacua, who's, an interesting 5th round prospect out of BYU. Not the most athletic wide receiver, but he's very crafty, very good route runner. He actually ranked 3rd in PFF grade last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., probably one of the best wide receiver prospects since Jamar Chase or anybody we've seen some time ranked above him, so I can't fault him for that. But he's obviously very talented, and he could be a good fit for this offense. So he could end up being inactive every week or being a mainstay in the 11 personnel. So wide range of outcomes, but I think it's worth it here at wide receiver 104.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are one of those teams where you look at, okay, who's going to be that 3rd receiver and probably the 2nd guy on the perimeter. And you got Skowronek is back. I know Atwell, they're kind of going to give him some type of role, but
and you can't forget
Demarcus
Robinson.
Yeah, but that means the depth chart is wide open, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
And they could throw a lot because that defense still looks pretty shaky to me with all those losses. All right. With the 14th pick, I am going to go with I'll just grab Josh Downs here, wide receiver 89. I don't have high hopes for this Colts offense throwing the ball, but just kind of betting on, a third round talent. Guys in the third round typically are going to play about half the time, maybe a little under in year one. And so when you kind of look up and down this list now, there's not many other guys that can push for that kind of playing time right off the bat as rookies. This is not a dynasty draft. We're doing ADP, value against ADP for this season for 2023 in redraft. So I think Downs is really the only guy that makes sense here. And then we'll really start getting into the weeds.
Yeah, he's a guy that I love the talent. He was one of my favorite prospects, just hated the landing spot. Ironically, I had his NFL comp as like Isaiah McKenzie, Cole Beasley, and he's going to be competing with Isaiah McKenzie for that slot role. It's just when Anthony Richardson's under center, I don't know if he'll see enough volume to hit, but certainly, one of the more talented receivers. It was just unfortunate his landing spot.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I like Alec Pierce, like the fit of Alec Pierce in this offense, but there's a chance Downs could emerge as the number 2 target even.
Absolutely.
McKenzie only got like $1 million guaranteed or something. He didn't get much at all. Pierce is a little bit more of a lower percentage route runner. At least I think he'll be in this offense. And I like Woods too, but he's a tight end. So, and they have so many tight ends. So there's a chance with Downs.
Depending on what happens with Jonathan Taylor, they might not lean on a traditional running game. Like I could see just getting the ball out quick to a guy like Josh Downs would make a ton of sense. So he has the talent, and they took him in the 3rd round, so he'll get playing time. If he landed in any other situation, I would have loved him a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, where you go next?
Yeah, so we're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel here. Some of these guys, they need to have injuries to have value. So I'm just going to go with the guy that has a clear path if somebody gets hurt, and that's Charlie Jones at wide receiver 132. He's a 4th round prospect out of Purdue. He's probably the long-term replacement for Tyler Boyd, if I had to guess what they're doing with this. But he could line up outside as well as the slot. So I think he could be the contingency plan if either Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, or Tyler Boyd miss time, even as a rookie. So he has 3 different, injury paths to offering potential value as a rookie. Obviously, he's not going to have much playing time if they're all healthy, but at least he has a path if one of them goes down. We kind of saw that last year. They were kind of scrambling what to do. I think Charlie Jones could be the answer as soon as this year. So I like the upside he provides at wide receiver 132 here.
Yeah, he's a guy I had my eye on as well, just because I think they're probably trying to groom him long-term for, to be Tyler Boyd's replacement ideally. So, Boyd is getting a little older. So Cincinnati can go for, they have Irv Smith at tight end, which means they're going to be missing. He's probably going to miss some games, and they could just line up 4 wide. I'm guessing, I guess Irwin is still probably going to be a factor. He played really well last year, but Jones, I think for the value at 132 on one of the better offenses, one of the best offenses in the league, I think that's a pretty good pick. All right, I am going to go with, and this is kind of a prediction of mine, but I think Calvin Austin ends up overtaking A-Rob at some point. So I'm just going to go with him. Missed all of his rookie year, but so he's still a rookie, but I think he's better suited to start for Pittsburgh, because he can play in the slot. Like if A-Rob is there, I don't think you want him in the slot, and then you're gonna have to you don't want Pickens in the slot, so then it's gonna have to be Deontay. But do you really want him in the slot? I don't know. So I think number one, I just think Allen Robinson. I don't it's been 2 straight years of just terribleness from him now. So I think that job. Well, I don't think the offense is going to be crazy. I do think Austin has a decent shot to at least be a starter which is more than you could say for some of these guys at this point. So I'm going to go Calvin Austin, who looks like he's undrafted. So give him ADP of 149.
Yeah, I think that's a sneaky pick, and he's should be completely over that foot injury that knocked him out his rookie season. It looked like he was going to return towards the end of the season. Like he was healthy enough to play last year. They just decided to shut him down. So that's good to know that he's going to be 100% entering camp, entering preseason, entering week 1, hopefully. So yeah, I agree. I think he could, make a difference in this offense because he's unique skill set and yeah, perfect for the slot.
All right. We got 4 picks left. Where you going?
Oh my God. So 2 picks left each, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go way down on the list then, and I'm gonna take Xavier Hutchinson at wide receiver 140, just because this Texans wide receiver depth chart's wide open. He's a bit of a gamble, but he was solid at Iowa State. He was actually Brock Purdy's top target back in the day, and he was Hutchinson was 4th in PFF grade last year. Like he is a pretty polished wide receiver. There's a chance he doesn't make the team, but again, this is a depth chart where if he does make the team, there's a chance he could be the number 1 wide receiver at the end of the season. So he has a wide range of outcomes, but we love that at wide receiver 140. So he could smash this, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't catch a pass this season either. So love the wide range of outcomes here at the bottom of our draft.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had like a 35% target per route rate too. Like he's another one that was just getting a ton of targets and hogging the ball when he was on the field. So don't hate it at all. Xavier Hutchinson. And what was he? Wide receiver 140.
Probably just undrafted. You said that's the
no 149. Right? No, he's actually ranked.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Ooh, 2 picks left for me. The 18th overall pick, I am going to go with this is tough. I think I'm gonna go with I'll go Tillman. I'll go Cedric Tillman here just because he's the highest guy remaining in terms of draft pedigree. And, that does have some predictive value. I do think he ends up sitting behind Donovan Peoples-Jones, but Donovan Peoples-Jones is not like unjumpable either. So he has been playing well, but Tillman is a guy that can, do things down the field. So he could get, he could be one of those guys that doesn't catch many balls, but you could get a few long touchdowns or something like that. So, and Deshaun Watson also, I expect him to make a jump. So I'll go with Cedric Tillman here with the 18th pick in our rookie draft.
I was gonna say look for him in the Hall of Fame game. I think his ADP could jump. I think he'll lead the team in receiving yards. I think they're going to use him heavily, so he'll show off his downfield abilities, things like that. So I think hopefully after the Hall of Fame game, he's more on people's radar. But yeah, he probably needs an injury to crack the lineup, but certainly, he's talented if he does crack the lineup. He's a guy that doesn't need that many targets to produce either, since he's a deep threat. So yeah, like it this late in the draft. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing next. There is one guy that's left. We should probably talk about him. Again, this is taking advantage of a wide open depth chart on the Texans. I'm going with Tank Dell at wide receiver 103. So, he has a ton of speed, can win downfield. So, he's probably better for best ball. If I'm being honest, we probably won't be able to really guess or know when the spike weeks will come, but he'll probably have a couple big games this year. So I think he should be able to beat his ADP. Not a guy that you necessarily want to trust in redraft leagues, but again, late in best ball drafts, he's certainly worth a flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny though. We got what now? 3 Texans. So
one of them has Robert Woods is gonna, have a career year or something. Watch, but I think one of these guys should hit. Yeah, they have to.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Last pick. This is tough.
Who's left? You want to talk through them? I mean,
yeah. So A.T. Perry, Keyshawn Butte, Demario Douglas, Trey Palmer, Antoine Green, Tyler Scott. Yeah, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but I think I'm gonna go with Palmer. I think I'm gonna go with Palmer. Because I don't know where we're at with Russell Gage. He had a bad injury in the playoffs, but even if Gage does start as a wide receiver 3, I mean, this depth chart, after Evans, Godwin, Gage, it's Devin Tompkins, Kalen Geiger, Cade Warner. Like there's really like Palmer probably wins this number 4 job going away. So at this point in the draft, I mean, Perry, I can't really trust any of these New England guys, especially in year 1. And then Perry on the, I think that's kind of dependent on Michael Thomas injury, but you still got Olave, Shaheed, and new quarterbacks. So, and then Scott, I don't think he cracks the rotation in Chicago. So yeah, I'm gonna go Palmer.
Yeah, I like it. He should be active on game day. He's a really good returner. Let me think. Who would be the returner if it's not him?
Sean Vaughn.
Well, wasn't like Gio Bernard returning kickoffs or something like that? So I think Palmer could be their kickoff and punt returner. So yeah, if he's active, he certainly has an upside. So yeah, I was considering him, and then I saw Tank Dell. So I was about to take Palmer.
Yeah, no, Dell is like a more of like he's got the higher draft pedigree and is probably going to get some touches as a gadget guy one way or another. Palmer is just more, maybe we get an injury, but even if not, should be the number 4, like you said, kick returner. Looks like he's competing with Tompkins right now. So should be able to win that or still be active either way. And Palmer is another one that was not drafted, so we'll give him an ADP of 149 as well. So there we go, 20 picks. Let me recap the draft. Sean started with Denver's Marvin Mims at wide receiver 90. I went with Kansas City's Rashee Rice at wide receiver 66. Sean went Jordan Addison of the Vikings at wide receiver 41. Then I went Quentin Johnston of the Chargers at wide receiver 46. Sean went Jayden Reed of the Packers, wide receiver 76. I went Michael Wilson of the Cards, wide receiver 96. Then Sean went Mingo of the Panthers at 71. I went Flowers of the Ravens at 50. Sean went Jaxson Smith-Njigba at wide receiver 37 in Seattle. I went with John Metchie of Houston, wide receiver 79. And then the back half of the draft, Sean went Justin Ross from KC. I went Jayden Hyatt. Sean went Puka Nacua. I went Josh Downs. Sean went Charlie Jones. I went Calvin Austin. Sean went Xavier Hutchinson. I went Cedric Tillman. Sean went Nathaniel Tank Dell, and I went Trey Palmer of the Bucks to close it out. Man, yeah, those last few picks, those are.
I gotta say, I do like my Tank Dell pick. I think he was a steal at the end. I was hoping you forgot about him or something. I'm surprised he fell to me, and I'm surprised I took Xavier Hutchinson in front of him. But it all worked out. I like both of our teams.
Yeah, I was the only reason I didn't take Dell was because I already had Metchie, and I was like, all right, I don't know if I want to do 2 Texans. And of course, what do? You go back to back Texans to close out the draft.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Is there anyone? I mean, there's no one we really left out, right? I mean,
we struggle at the end there, so I'm saying no.
Yeah. Tyler Scott and Butte is 107. I think that's too high. I heard Douglas was actually outplaying him in Patriots camp, so I doubt he comes close to hitting that ADP.
Dontavian Wicks, just because he's on the Packers, so he has a shot. The Raiders took Trey Tucker 3rd round, but he's really just a return specialist. So he'll be someone worth, monitoring, I guess, during preseason. I mean, they spent 3rd round draft capital on him, so they probably hope he turns into more than just a returner. But other than that, I think we covered them all, especially the 3 guys that didn't play last year. They're technically rookies this year. I think they all offer unique paths to upside. So I think we covered everybody that We should.
Darius Davis of the Chargers. He's another one we didn't. I mean,
yeah.
he's another guy. He's probably just going to be like gadget.
Yeah. He would need multiple injuries.
Yeah.
To play. And yeah, he's more of just a returner. But there's could be some guy that pops up. There always is, right?
Yeah, so, I heard the guy. I mean, I don't think the Jets are going to have space, but Brownlee, I've heard good things about. But yeah, it's always good to monitor, the undrafted guys and even some of the second year guys. Like a guy like a Jalen Naylor, for example, I'm hearing good things about. So you never know, he might pop up in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm hoping he eats into KJ Osborne's role, not Jordan Addison's, but I have been monitoring that as well.
Yeah, I think Naylor's actually running with the ones right now.
He's been balling out. Yeah.
But the Packers are definitely a team to watch. Just because, like, I think if you're taking a flyer, like I love that Jayden Reed pick, and we'll do tight ends in the next episode. But I think Musgrave is another interesting one on the Packers. Like you got to look at these teams where there's not really a lot of established guys, which is why we have 3 Texans
exactly
out of our 20 picks. But this was a good exercise, and hopefully you guys listening found it useful as well. Our rookie running back episode, is already out. So be sure to check that out right here on the Fantasy Flex channel. And we'll drop quarterback and tight end next week. You can find Sean on X at @the_oddsmaker and me at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. So if you're looking to get some action on some futures or maybe for the upcoming Hall of Fame game or just the week 1 of the preseason, be sure to follow us on the Action app. We'll definitely have some action for that. And of course, our season-long fantasy rankings are up at actionnetwork.com along with our draft tool and all that good stuff. So be sure to check that out. Until next time, let's get this money.